Some say it's all about 1925 and beyond. The podcast. KC 100 year celebration with Pete A. Kennedy and Marlon A. Kennedy.
Welcome to the 1925 and Beyond podcast. I'm your host, Pete A. Kennedy, and I'm here with my co-host, Big Brother Marlon A. Kennedy, and another exciting episode as we celebrate Kingston College 100 year, I say, birthday. And our series is focused on making sure that we just recognize those who have had some type of impact within the school. But let me tell you my credit. I went to Kingston College between the years of 1992 to 1995, played Colts, and that's on the football side. 1993, 1994 team. We lost 1993, won 1994, went on to Manning Cup in 1995, had a wonderful time there at the school. So we have an exciting guest for you today, but hold on, my brother will tell you about that. Big Brother Marlon, what you got to say?
Hi, thank you very much, Pete. Welcome to everybody. Thanks again for joining us on another episode. I won't be going through all that word salad like Pete. I went to KC from 86 to 93, played cricket. I was much more victorious than his stint at football, so I guess he chose the wrong sport. But today we're happy to have within our midst a KC old boy, well renowned for his prowess in business and also in cricket management and administration. Today we have with us Mr. Dave Cameron. Before we join, one of the things I need to let Dave know, which I don't think I've ever told him, was my very first day at cricket training. When I went to cricket training at North Street, I met Dave and Robert Samuels, and they showed me how to catch. I spent 3-4 hours just catching with them, wow. And they were senior players. Wow. And they were dedicated to because we spoke to Andre Coley the other day, and yeah. Coley informed Pete, let him know that at every higher level in the squad, they were responsible for the next level below.
Yes.
So he told Pete that the under 16 was responsible for under 14, and the under 19 responsible for under 16 and under 14. So it was no surprise when I got there. I saw Dave and Sammy, and they took me through drills, just catching all day. So with all of that preamble, Dave, welcome.
Welcome, sir.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, I didn't do such a good job because you still can't catch Kennedy.
Not even cool, me can't catch Dave.
I didn't get Cole, can't catch. Listen, it's really an honor to be invited to be a part of this celebration as we celebrate the obviously for me the only institution, the greatest institution,
that's right.
Which has given me everything. So my journey, I've lived in Eastern Kingston for pretty much most of my life. Went to Clancarty Primary School, which is around the corner from Kingston College, as we all know. I ended up at Kingston College. My mother still lives at Portland Road to this day. That's a family home. And so, unlike you fellas, I went there a little bit earlier. I would say now it's been 43 years since I went to Kingston College. Seems like the other day. I'm 1982 to 1989. And I end up at Kingston College because at the time, Kingston College was the winningest school in everything.
That's what we heard.
Yes. As a young man at Clancarty Primary School, which is around the corner, and you saw the KC boys passing all the time in their ties and whatever. 1982 was also Espana 82, World Cup 82. I captained the primary school team, Clancarty Primary School team. I was the captain of that team. And all my friends, we all played football. And so lunchtime, after school, we'd all gather and play football. And so everybody wanted to go to KC. KC was winning Manning Cup. KC was winning champs. KC was winning school challenge quiz. There was no other school. So of the, I think 10 or 11 of us that picked passed our exams, 9 went to Kingston College.
Wow.
1 went to George's and 1 went to Excelsior.
Wow.
And that was it. So unlike some people who their family went to KC and they were told to go to KC and whatever, I went to KC
That's
because
me.
of what KC stood for at the time.
Wow.
I'm from a very, very humble beginning, so I'm the first one in my family to go to high school. Not high school, to college. And so that was important for me. And then getting into Kingston College now, the interesting thing is, so remember I told you I played football for primary school, captain the team. Played against people like Skill Cole's son, Ali Cole. Ali Cole was at Jesse Paul at the time.
Jesse Paul, yeah.
That's correct. And so you go into KC, first summer, August, whatever it is, Pepsi Cup, Pepsi training. So I go down to KC and say, yeah, man, I'll try out for Pepsi. Well, gentlemen, when I went to Pepsi training, that was 3 times I went Pepsi training, the first, last, and all time. when I turned up,
hold on, beside the camera. Say that
3 times.
Say it again.
First, last, and all time.
That's it.
Yeah, man. When I turn up, it was Wulde and Jamal and those guys, same year as me. And I say, yeah, man, you now go play football for KC. I'll find another sport. And that's how I ended up playing cricket. Because at this time now, I was living next door to Kensington, and I'd gotten involved at the club. I used to be the board scorer. I used to score the board. My time at KC, listen, before I started to play cricket, I tried everything, but I tried
basketball.
No, man, I tried the choir.
Okay.
But that's not going to work. But I tried the cadet. And that wasn't working out either. And I said, boy, listen, this thing, I can't run to save my life. So, and then cricket came into the fold, and I was up at Kensington, and so I started to get involved. And so I started to play cricket late. I started to play cricket at about 12. Literally started to play cricket when I got to KC. And that's getting into the great institution.
Wow.
But one I'm glad you raised a point there, Dave, because one of the stories I tell all of my non-KC friends is that a similar thing. I wasn't big on football like you, but I love the game, and is one thing KC, I think schools like KC will teach you, them will humble you. Because when you think, say, you're a big sportsman and you go there,
absolutely.
I'm just like you.
Absolutely.
My tryout for Pepsi was the first, last, and all time to one day ago. Because when we see some baller turn up and them man they come with them name from prep school.
Yeah, man.
All school,
that was
all prep and
absolutely.
when you see them man they control and kick and I say, all right, me just disappear in our shadows and I'm gonna find something.
Yeah, man. Ventura and all those guys.
Yeah, man.
I just say, man, it was nice coming.
No stop.
Like I said, 3 times. Because remember now, Mona and Vaz went to KC.
Yes.
So, and those 2 schools, proper training. And
man.
I mean, we had a guy, my football coach was Mr. Perkins. A good guy and thing, but we didn't have the chance to go through all the drills and be playing years of and corner league and minor league and all that. I didn't grow up on that. I mean, so much so that I love the sport that while I went to college, I studied in the Bahamas, and I'll get there. Actually played 2nd division football in the Bahamas. So I'm not actually at a man. I played Torres League. I played,
you get a bus at Bahamas, Mr. Cameron.
Me get a bus, man. Me get a bus. We used to play farm football too, so it's not too bad. I used to be able to make my farm side, but that was about it. And man, humbly, I tried table tennis. I always say, people, if you go to KC, you can't play table tennis because you just don't care. Because I mean, in my time, there were like 6 boards at the back, and all you had to do was buy your own racket and get to the board first time. And it's all about kingship. Yeah, man. And again, Marlon, to one of the things that differentiates KC people from everybody else. We are taught very early, or you learn it very early, that KC is a merit system. It don't matter who your mother, father, or where you're from. If you're not good, you're not making the team. It's just one of those things. And you knew if you could play table tennis, if you could do whatever, you're going to stay on. Nobody can talk to you, so you practice and you do what you had to do because that's what the game is. Nobody can come and say, "Hey, little boy, come on for the board, man." And you say, "How long you there?" You just keep playing, and so
Yeah, man, you have to beat him.
you have to beat me.
Yep.
You have to beat me. So that was my entry into Kingston College. Like I said, spent 7 years there, 7 wonderful years. 1 year actually didn't play in the cricket. And that's an interesting story, and it's something that the coach at the time, which all of us affectionately known by Roy Mack, of blessed memory, somebody I came to admire quite a bit, was always on me, negative energy, and that I didn't realize that that's how he motivated. But at the time, I also didn't know that he was a member of Kensington Cricket Club. That he was actually a high-ranking secretary and had some issues with the club. So I remember I'm just a young man in the area.
Oh.
Yes, and so he had stopped coming to the club. That's why I didn't know him. And so
is a principal man them way there too. If him have them issues, them does not go support
it
it.
does not, right. So and man always give me a hard time, Boy, Wycliffe, you're not good. All you do is smoke weed on a Kensington every day and whatever. And believe me, gents, I was one of the few young men who never smoked. But he knew that all the guys at the club smoke, play dominoes, play cards, whatever. And he was just always on me. Boy, you're not good at whatever. And so I repeated second form, repeated shift to play cricket in second form. Did the same thing in third form and decided I wasn't going to play in the cricket. And so I ended up on evening shift in fourth form and stuff like that because of it. And I just said to him, I just couldn't take it anymore. And then I started to understand him and realize that he had issues with the club, not me. And so I went back and I played again in fourth, fifth, and of course, sixth form.
Nice.
So I missed 1 year, but I played under 14 Coles, and in Sunlight, I would have been the vice captain to Robert Samuels, national at the time, and we won. Sorry, Pete, but I won under 14. I won Coles. I won Topping Cup 2 years, and I won Sunlight.
Nice.
Okay, so yes, I'm accustomed to winning.
That's right. Which is right. At least I can say I had one under the belt, under the 40s. Yeah. No man can say them that I none.
Absolutely.
Get one under my belt.
And while I was there this is 1985 now, our 60th anniversary. Never forget. This is one of the most remarkable games, and still haunt people like Bullhead. Will haunt him to his grave. You must have heard of this. Kingston College need to score 5 clear goals against Wolmer's to get to the finals of the Manning Cup. At halftime, it's 0-0. By the end of the game, it's 5-0.
Wow.
And Bullhead has never forgiven Wolmer's, any KC boy for that matter. So that's Craig Butler, when you hear him talking all the time, they were in the stands. They cried all the way home. And that is when they change now, where the final games are played at the same time.
All at the same time, yeah.
that was a turning point.
To avoid any match fixing or any little issues.
So-called match fixing, because up to this day nobody can say that match wasn't fixed. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But no, wonderful times at Kingston College. The most disappointing time for me, I have to tell you, was Campion College beat us in Sunlight finals in 1987. Campion College. Yeah, man.
But they had a good set of players. Remember, they have Larry and
Carter, very good set of players. Very good set of players. But still Campion.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Marlon, it's still Campion. We knew that. I mean, all of those guys I played against them in Minor Cup and Junior Cup and Senior Cup. So I knew Julian Robinson, Carlton Carter, the two salesmen. It's a very good team.
And for persons who think that he made a mistake. Julian Robinson is actually the same politician now.
Yeah.
The same politician.
That is, a representative of PNP. So
Yeah,
he
man,
was a very good
absolutely.
cricketer as a schoolboy.
Excellent cricketer at the
Yeah, man.
time. We felt he would have gone on to represent West Indies. Not only for bowling but also batting, and he developed some back injuries and didn't recover. So 2 years later, 1989 finals at our beloved Kensington Cricket Club, I had the honor of reversing the fortune, and that was then now the greatest highlight of my sporting career at Kingston College. Sunlight Cup finals, Kingston College I think made 159 or something like that. Champions a soup. By the way, I made 30 in that, had a few runs there. Marlon, I know you don't believe I'm a batsman, so I had a few, about 30. I think I can find the clipping for you somewhere.
I once heard you were the only cricketer that had a gears bag with no batting, only pure ball. So, but if you say so, Dave, I work with it.
Yeah, so 159 and it's a soup. Our good friend Gerald Hector, I hope you get to interview him.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Gerald is on the list for us.
Yeah. So Jerry and I were best friends. Well, are best friends. So Jerry is opening the bowling, and Jerry bowls a beautiful outswinger, miss everything, including Larry Crichton bat. And we say, how is that, Mr. Stanford? And he says, I think he's out. And Crichton is on his way for ducks and started the slide. I don't remember who I got out, but Julian Robinson walked to the wicket. And suffice to say, he didn't make any, and he only faced the ball.
Wow.
And I've had that against him for a long time, forever since. So whenever we see each other, I tell him, boy, Dave, I wasn't ready. And all that. The famous response is, when you go home, you tell your mother.
Yeah.
And she may console you. No, but I wasn't gonna lose again to Campion 2 years later. So so that was it. How would I have in my view, I owe almost everything to Kingston College. Obviously, I don't call it luck. I call it being prepared, because all the opportunities I've gotten has been as a result of my participation at Kingston College and with sports. In 1989, when I was on my way leaving sixth form, this is March of 1989, and we had three gentlemen in particular who used to come out to watch us play every Saturday and any day that we had sunlight matches. Herbert Grant, what's his name from Rock Bottom, was to be the Roddy Wallace. I can't remember the other person's name. But those three gentlemen used to come to watch us play every sunlight game. Herbert Grant is Grant Stewart Phillips, attorney, and Roddy Wallace was the CEO at Rock Bottom at the time. And I remember March of the year, they said to me, so Wycliffe, what are you going to do after school? So I said, well, I had done A-level accounts. That's what I did, A-level accounts and economics. And I said, well, the plan is to probably look at a job in a bank and do an AAT and ACCA qualify, because that's where I'm heading. He says, well, listen, we have a scholarship, I said, scholarship? To do what? I said, to do hotel management at UWI. And I said, well, I don't know what that is, but let me look and see the syllabus and let me see the thoughts. So I looked at the syllabus and I came back then to the following week. We had a match again. I said, listen, yeah, man, I'll do it. He says, well, all right. He said, have you applied for university? I said, no. He said, well, the small thing that, man, you have a form? I said, yeah, because I'd, of course, gotten the form. Time to leave school. And they said, let's complete the form, put on the birth certificate and whatever the requirements are, and take it to us, which I did. And then they said to me, just get the 2 A-levels and the scholarship is yours. When I got to KC the day and I got my A-level results, I walked downtown to rock bottom and gave it to Mr. Wallace, and he's like, shook my hand and said, congratulations. And that was how I got into university. When I got to university, I picked up my documents from Carl Stone's office of blessed memory. Carl Stone was a KC old boy. And so I got into university 4 months after the deadline, without knowing what I was going to do. Yeah. And that was the start of everything. So I got my university education free of cost. I got the Douglas Forest Scholarship, sponsored by Frank Rance of FDR. I thank him very much every day, and we remain very, very good friends. I don't go to Montego Bay unless I call him on the way back. And I worked with Mr. Rance for a couple of years after I came out of school and things, but we remain very good friends. And so that was the start of my career, professional life after Kingston College.
So you studied locally or overseas?
I saw it's University of the West Indies, and at the time, you did 1 year in Jamaica and 2 years in the Bahamas.
Okay.
That was also the reason for my ending career in cricket. Because what happened to me is by the time I started, sorry, I must say this, for the record, I went to National Youth Trials 2 years in a row, Kennedy. I didn't make it, like you, but I went to trials. The argument the selectors gave me was that I was not going to be a cricketer because in my last year of trials, I was already first year at UWI. No, man, and Pete, let me tell you, those are the biases, and that's why I got involved, and that's why I've stayed involved in cricket and in sports, because we have these biases without even realizing them. And if we had the opportunities we had now in cricket, I may have tried to be a cricketer, but I already had resigned myself that I was just going to go to college, get a good education, and then see where we go from there.
Take it from there.
And take it from there. So when they didn't select me, unlike my friend Paul Brown, affectionately known as P Brown,
PB.
I remember when PB, because in that year it was myself, PB, and a guy named we call him Lentiloops. Marlon, what's Marlon's last name again? Played for Police. Anyway, Marlon got selected as the off spinner, and PB cried all the way home. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I got selected to the reserve team. I played against the team. I think I got 5 wickets and I made some runs, and I was like, look at this. I'm the guy who they've left out of the team.
Yeah, they left out, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all right, because again, I was disappointed, but I wasn't like, heartbroken that this was this was my thing, and I didn't get selected. So I went off to college. So I did 1 year in Jamaica, 2 years in the Bahamas. While in the Bahamas, I played cricket I got there on Wednesday, and on Thursday, a gentleman, formerly of Barbados, came and checked me and said, here you play cricket. Of course, I walked with my gears. And the man said, yeah, man. I said, well, we have a match on Sunday. And so I played for Paradise for the 2 years that I was there.
Yeah.
Almost every week we had a cricket match. I played football, like I said, second division football. And I started picking up this game called racquetball, which is squash without rules. If you think about it, you just bang the ball as hard as you can. I played, volleyball for fun and stuff like that. And in my final year, I was president of the Students Association while in Nassau. So that was, right after Kingston College.
Nice.
So what happened after that now? Because I know how did you get into the administrative part of things? And whilst you were doing that, what were you doing work-wise? What was your occupation? What were you doing?
All right. So when I got back from college, I went to work for Mr. Rance. Like I said, he was a sponsor of the Douglas Forest Scholarship. Again, thank you very much, Kingston College.
Yeah. So
we reached out to Mr. Rance and said, when do you want to start working? I said, next week. He said, come and see me. So I go down. There's this, I don't know if you know where Sony's Plaza. There's a restaurant called Passage to India, it's called now. It used to be, Mr. Rance had leased that space, called it Forever Cafe. And so that was where I cut my teeth. So I started to work in a restaurant as manager of the restaurant, living in Ocherius. So that's how I migrated to Senton for a few years. And so while working there, I started to play for Senton. Now, the issue with that was I'm the manager. The restaurant was open 22 hours a day. There were 2 supervisors and myself, and we only got 1 day off. After a couple of months, it was virtually impossible for me to practice and play and work at that level. So I remember someone coming to me, I can't remember who it was, and said, it may have been Ivan Anderson, and saying that we were looking at changing the president of the Kensington Cricket Association. At the time, it was Mr. Marsh. And if I would go with him as vice president, I was like, no problem. So I said, what do I need to do? He said, no, man, that's cool, man. All is good. So I played first division for Senton Cricket in Senior Cup. I remember playing against Melbourne, and them shall never forget it because I caught him first ball at slip. They'll forget that. So that's how I got into admin. So I was actually, this part is not really told a lot of the times, but as vice president of the Senton Cricket for like 2 years.
Okay.
And then while at Forever Cafe, I was invited to apply for assistant manager at Dunsriver Falls. Again, a brief part of my history.
Wow.
And I went to Dunsriver Falls as the assistant general manager and became the general manager after a few months.
Wow.
And I used to captain the Dunsriver team. Those days, I don't know if you remember the hotel cricket.
Yeah.
So
I was big cricket because you had a lot of cricketers from Kingston and all over come play hotel cricket.
Yeah, man. West Indian players. I mean,
you got a good little
Chris
change,
Rose,
you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, Franklin Rose and so. Franklin was one of my teammates as well. And I played, what you call it now, club cricket within Senton as well. With Franklin Rose was on my team. So that's how I knew Franklin outside of the national team. So Franklin and I used to be together in Ocherius. Yeah, and then I decided to do my master's in computer-based management information systems, and it was not compatible with me being in Ocherius and whatever. So I left the job and I came back into Kingston and I ended up in finance, and the rest is history. So I went to work at DBG there in Bunting and Goling in 1995. And so all this time, while I started to do my master's, and when I finished in 97, Mr. Wong of blessed memory at Kensington called me up and said, well, you're a bank manager now. And you know the drill, Kennedy, you're a bank manager, and I'm the youth, and time to now come and spend your money at the club to manage the team. And so, of course, left Senton as vice president, came into Kingston. And so I was now thrust into managing the team. Because, again, like I said, I couldn't play because I was still doing my master's. And then when I finished now, by this time, I had left DBG and I was at Manufacturers Merchant Bank as the manager in charge of the treasury and investments. And so Mr. Wang said, no time to start spending your money. We've spent enough on you. And so that's how I got into managing the team in 1997. In that same year, I started to now say, all right, how are we going to do this thing? So I got my company behind us, Manufacturers Merchant Bank, was owned by OK Meledo. Yes, a huge cricket man. And of course, Peter was the president. And so I went into them and said, listen, I'm managing this team and I need some resources. I want to sponsor the club. So I put up wall ads and I got track suits for the players, and we started to warm up and started to professionalize the thing a little bit. Of course, that meant now that we started to win. And so we won everything that year. And then in the following year, they invited me to come to the Jamaica Cricket Board as assistant treasurer. And Newton Jacks was the treasurer at the time. He fell ill, and I became the de facto treasurer. So I've been on the board from 1998 as a treasurer until 2007. Yeah, again, a lot of us don't because that part of it. The only time people recognized me was when I became president of West Indies Cricket. I mean, all the time I've been serving at all the levels and performing. A notable event that we had was in 1997. Patroso created his county championships, and it was in response to all our players going off to England and not having a professional setup at home. So we retained a number of players, and the winners out of the Senior Cup would form the top 3 teams, and then you would have Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey. So I think the club teams were Kensington, Lucas, and might have been Kingston or Melbourne. I'm not sure. But anyway, we won that tournament flying. We won that tournament with 2 matches to spare. I had Patterson Thompson, Patrick Patterson, Phila Wallace, and wicketkeeper from Grenada. But yeah, so we had a marvelous, and that was how I got notarized. That's how people started to take note of me as an administrator, as someone who could manage and understood what I was doing. And so Brian Breeze, who was CEO at the time, invited me to come to Jamaica Cricket, and so that's at the start of me being involved in Jamaica Cricket. I got on the board, and of course, served, like I said, 9 years, leaving there in 2007 as the treasurer, having gone through all 2009 actually, 2009 as the treasurer.
Nice.
So what led you to going to taking the next level now at within the region, going to West Indies Cricket?
Again, it was just being a KC man. If you're doing well, and people ask you to serve, and you just keep serving, and it's all service. Remember, I tell you, at no point in time did I go to anybody and say, "Hey, listen, I want to be the manager. I want to be the vice president of Centre and Cricket." Is your work, the body of work that you're doing, and your commitment has shown. People said, well, I think we can go to the next level. So again, being the treasurer of the JCA, we didn't even have a secretariat when I got there. We had no monies, and I had not put a professional structure in place. We had offices, we had hired staff, we had CEO and administrative officers and accountant and all these things. And I remember in 2002, the board felt that they were not getting good enough representation at West Indies Cricket Board level. At the time, it was Maurice Foster and Jackie Hendricks. Jackie Hendricks being the president was automatic. And so they decided that we will have a vote to decide to change the representation. And that's how I got on. So in May 2002, I replaced the great Maurice Foster as a representative on the Jamaica for Jamaica at West Indies Cricket. And that created a lot of issues. Yeah, again, so my whole being in the sport has been very different from, and it's kind of meteoric in a sense at a young age. And so it ruffled a lot of feathers in a way, because you're not part of the fabric. You didn't play West Indies cricket and so on and so forth. Even though every aspect of the management of the game, administration that I had gotten involved in, we were successful. It still didn't say that you should be at all at these levels. So that has been if you say the one drawback, the downside of my going through into West Indies cricket. So I joined the cricket board in 2002. First meeting was in Jamaica, I'll never forget. And Then the next year, Teddy Griffith from Barbados became the president, and he was chairman of the marketing committee. And he looked around the room, and I was a member of the marketing committee, having been a member of the marketing committee in Jamaica, and suggested that I should chair the committee. That committee is the most powerful committee in West Indies cricket, because that's the committee that all the commercial rights and the full knowledge of the game and of the business went through. Yeah. And so that's how I got really engrossed in West Indies cricket. And I remember going to OK and asking him and Peter for the time to go to West Indies Cricket Board meetings, because it was just going to be 2 meetings a year, as I was told. Yeah. Well, that 2 meeting became 2 meetings a month very soon. And so, yeah, so thanks to OK and Peter, who gave me the time off to represent the region while working at manufacturers. So in my private life, I had moved from being the manager at Manufacturers Merchant Bank through to being a vice president, treasury and asset management by the time I left in 2003. So while I was doing that, again, people don't realize that I was this was all for fun and games. And I had a working otherwise.
Man, I call it getting the practice in.
Getting the practice
those were learning opportunities before you got to the big gift part.
Sure. I'm going to ask you to be as brief as possible.
Sure.
Right? How would you describe your tenure at the head of cricket in the region?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because
we all know that they're when it comes to Dave Cameron in the region, there are two different camps.
Yes.
There are 2 camps. The camp that says yes, let us have him again, and the next camp was said no. How would you describe your tenure?
My tenure is described as transformational. Mm-hmm. If you look at what we did, it's transformational on every level. We have more coaches, we have more cricketers now, we have more persons involved, administrators in the sport. So what I did was transformational, and for you to have transformation in 6 years, it meant that everybody's not going to like you.
Yep.
But one of the things that, and again, I'm happy to be on this podcast, because the institution that we're talking about is the reason why I was transformational, because I recognize that if nobody took care of the institution, we would not have something to be talking about 100 years from now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And my whole being is as a result of persons who went before me, who did not destroy the school, who made it better for me, and I'm doing my part. And that's how I felt being at West Indies Cricket.
Yep.
It was not about me. And if you look at what I've done, I've taken a lot of personal hits, sacrifices, because of I believe that the institution is bigger than any individual. And all of those individuals who thought they were bigger than the institution today, where are they? Where is West Indies Cricket? Unfortunately, not enough persons believe that way and ensure the institution continues, which is the reason why both of you are on this call talking to me today. So that is what we live by. Don't ask me where I got it. Don't ask me how it resonated with me. But on reflection, I now realize that I was the only guy in the room. I took on India and Australia and England in the boardroom at ICC. It didn't matter whether you like me or not. I still play golf with them. I still have a beer with them. But we need the equity in the West Indies for the organization to continue, for more persons to have opportunities. We started to, quote unquote, get solidarity payments from them that comes back into the clubs and territorial boards. Never used to happen before. And we negotiated those things because it was important for the fabric of the institution to continue.
Thank you. Thank you with that, Dave. So what are you doing now?
I continue to do what I've been doing. I've been in investments. For that's my forte.
Yep.
But more importantly, I'm the managing director of Century Business Machines Limited now, and also a shareholder of that entity. Century Business Machines on Mountain View Avenue, and we sell stationery and office supplies, everything that you need in your office, from paper to technology to printers, copiers, you name it. We sell that. If we don't have it, we'll source it for you.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And this company has been around 42 years and was acquired last year by a group including myself.
Man.
Okay.
Congrats.
Well, I want to wish you all the best on
Thank you
that
very much.
venture there, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen,
All right.
and thanks for the opportunity to chatting with you all.
So in parting, Dave, we ask that our guests use the opportunity to wish KC 100, and then also a positive message for persons who are going to get an opportunity to listen and watch this podcast.
Well, firstly, let me take the opportunity to wish the greatest institution happy 100th anniversary, and again, thank the institution for all it has done for myself and gentlemen like yourselves, and to ensure and that to pledge my support that whatever I can do to ensure that it's around for the next 100,000 years, to impart the same kind of discipline and respect for our country and love for our country. And the message to my fellow partisans is really about perseverance and about opportunity. I never tell anybody that I'm lucky. I just believe I've been in the right place at the right time. But I have to be prepared. When I was offered a scholarship, if I didn't get my 2 A levels, I would not have been able to go to university. So even though, yes, these gentlemen stepped up and say, here's a scholarship, if you're not ready to take the opportunity, you'll be saying, well, what it could have been. So perseverance and be ready to take advantage of the opportunities when they're available.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, Dave. Go ahead, Pete.
Wow. I can tell you, Dave, I could listen to you for the next 3 hours, and the stories about Kingston College and how it impacts individual lives are all different, but at the end, they actually turn out the same in regards to how Kingston College has left that resignated foundational thrive that we all live off. So I'm excited for you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. Here you got it, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dave Cameron, the guy who played cricket for KC, all because his first, second, and all options didn't work out for the football field. But as you heard, he played football in other areas. Sir, I want to say thank you for sharing that. Your story really, really makes a difference when we talk about how you step out and use the tools that were given to you to make it happen. I am a stepler and a believer of what you just said. Opportunities are seized by those who are prepared, right? Absolutely. And preparation is, and that's why I said when you're saying you were getting these practices and doing all these things, that's preparation for when them open up the door you walk in, because you're doing it, right? Absolutely. And many times people are like, well, I don't have the title, so I'm not being no manager. Well, the greatest leaders always lead before they even have a title. So I those are the little things that we get at KC that people don't even understand.
So, yeah, interestingly, Pete, I'll say to you, I was actually leading in retrospect. So I was head boy, I was farm captain in every farm at KC. I never realized that I was leading all this time. So through my entire life. So
And KC did that for every one of us. And when you hear the stories, you can hear how Stratton Palmer put me on the field and give me vice captain. And I'm like, what is this? And but those are the little things that later on we came back and made us great men in our communities, for our families and everything else. So Mr. Dave Cameron, thank you very much again. We appreciate it. But as KC boys, we can't leave without doing the wonderful thing that KC has created, and that's the motto. So how we end out, my brother? We say it like this. You can join us, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
5, Fortis.
Fortis.
Cattery.
Cattery.
None
Potest.
The
brave may fall.
but never
yield.
Thank you, ladies and
Dave.
gentlemen.
Respect.
We appreciate you.
Forever.
Pick up yourself, Dave Cameron.
Big up
And
yourself.
Fortis. Cheers.
All right, Dave. Blessings.